Hello, everybody. I'm aware that this is a little early, but we got the racers started here. So welcome to the Speedgaming Live 2025 Zelda 2 Randomizer Tournament. Here we have a brackets match between methinkso and Big Slammu. We immediately are going to start off with an absolutely terrible forest tile encounter as we get a trophy cave on Slammu's side. Looks like the trophy cave is going to have some decent enemies. So you'll see that they're starting with 3 hearts. This is a little bit of a tougher flag set for the runners. I believe the max heart containers is also 6, but none of that matters when you get a glove immediately. Also, as you can see, they're starting with a candle, and it looks like based on trackers, they're also starting with the cross. Slammu was going to go ahead and elect to take life 2 here. methinkso made the same decision, and methinkso is almost up to magic 2 in terms of the XP total. Might actually look to get it off of this Gorilla. And I missed what that palace was if we have seen it, but it looks like we have the forced walk encounter on the bridge. As this looks like it's not quite an island, but similar enough, and it looks like that is Palace 2 is our first palace on the west. Looks like here we're going to have Parappa Cave. This will take us across that bridge encounter. It looks like this is actually a river biome for the west. But early glove is always nice to see. Glove is one of those things that is required in basically every seed. I think there's a very, very small chance that you can get away with no glove in a seed. So sometimes these infinite respawners can drop things like jars and whatnot. It's like we get a blue jar in the pool. Canceling magic 2 for methinkso as Slammu is going ahead to P-Bag Cave. Trying not to take a hit, ends up taking a hit anyway. So it looks like P-Bag Cave isn't too bad in terms of the enemies. No Dara's and annoying spots to have to deal with. methinkso looks like they're looking to get an encounter skip to get across the forced encounter. However, Slammu does go ahead and go up to attack 2. methinkso should be relatively quick behind. Just needs about 40 more XP. A little bit under 40 now. As we see our town here for Slammu, it is the town of Ruto, which contains the fire spell. Slammu is going to elect not to immediately go for that. As you see another bridge and another palace. And methinkso is trying to get some XP off of these Bogos, I think they're called, aka the dead fish. As the Dares give a decent amount of XP, and attack 3 looks pretty expensive. I want to say that's 570 for attack 3. So we'll see how much the runners want to do with that. Slammu is going to go ahead and pick up life 3 here, which given the 1 less starting heart and the maximum of 6 hearts is pretty reasonable. And now we've got methinkso also on this other side, and that's an encounter. Like we got P1 here for Slammu. He's going to like to go ahead and jump in real quick, see if there's anything free to be gotten. Doing palaces without keys or the fairy spell is generally a little risky, but it can be done if the palace works out correctly. methinkso is going to take a game over on that encounter. And it looks like we have an early horse head for Slammu. I would expect this is going to be kill horse head and then leave. Because you're going to need at least 1 key or the fairy spell in order to get the item. Because the items in palaces are almost always, if not always, behind locked doors. I think the exceptions are in like P5 if you get the second horse head fight and maybe 1 or 2 other random rooms. Now Slammu is going to go back into the palace, so might be electing to save the gem for later, which makes a lot of sense. But then you still get the free key off of the horse head. And we got Blue Knuckles. And Slammu's just going to go ahead and elect to leave entirely, taking that key with him. And we have Bagu's Woods. We're going to see what this Dara gives us in terms of XP. It looks like it's 100. Not bad. I think it's actually kind of tempting here to go ahead and look for Bagu. Because we have a river biome, Saria might actually be an effective pass-through option to get to the other side of the river. So there may be some value in looking for Bagu here. However, going to elect not to do that because there's a grass tile. And we get a jar. Looks like Death Mountain has been found via connector from the west. We'll see what methinkso would like us to do with this. There's the town just randomly sitting on a peninsula. It looks like we're going to need some boots. If we are to go forward in this overworld, we're probably going to need some boots. Slammu might be taking some time to look for Bagu here, which, again, because Saria can be a pass-through in a river biome, and just in general, it's honestly not the worst idea in the world. And Slammu will get some XP out of this, which isn't insignificant. Oh, nice falling stab there from Slammu to get the Dara down. As methinkso is now on the long bridge. About to find Palace 1. Also going to take life 3. Slammu takes attack 3. methinkso's had a little bit more trouble with just game overs in general, especially with getting some really tough encounters. But both runners are slowly come to the conclusion that you're likely going to need boots. And there is Bagu. So there is a little bit of a thing going on with the cropping right now, and I don't know if moving into the live scene is going to... You know what? I'm going to try moving it to the race layout and see if that affects the cropping. If it does, then I'll put it back. Because there is a little bit of a cropping thing going on here. So with that said, Slammu is now in DM. I think at this point, I might actually be willing to just go ahead and check DM for the Hammer Cave. Because it's becoming more and more clear that boots are going to be necessary. And right now, the best options to get boots are Hammer Cave or P1. And I think Hammer Cave is a slightly better option there. Plus, there it is. But we also have a pass-through cave here, which is going to lead to... Oh! Well, that's no good. Okay, so now you just do Hammer Cave. So west of Death Mountain out of both pass-throughs means that either there is a bridge / raft tile somewhere on the west, or you got to go through Death Mountain to get to the east. So, I think... But yeah, based on what we've seen the grass tile, we've seen 2 caves, no boots. Right now, your best bet is to go into either P1 or into Hammer Cave to get boots or whatever's going to lead to boots. And honestly, Hammer Cave is the better option of the two just because Hammer Cave does not require keys. P1 is going to require keys. Slammu is going to take the life 4 as methinkso is now in Bagu's Woods, kind of following in the same footsteps that Slammu did a little while ago. May also elect to look for... Oh no, going to go back across the river. Wanting nothing to do with this DM right now. Potentially there's more to do over on the other side of the river. methinkso will get attack 3. Slammu might pick up magic 2 here just to not lose the XP, depending on what this enemy is. It's not going to be enough. Boots! Boots in Hammer Cave. So with the boots in the Hammer Cave, that means that we are looking at now Slammu can actually just walk across the water at will, can get to that town that he saw earlier on that little peninsula, and can start getting into some of these caves. So that is a huge find. And Fairy is in Saria, but it's on the other side. There's the other side. And that was faster than taking Bagu to get across Saria. So Slammu is going to have the Fairy spell. That's going to enable digging palaces. And honestly, we might see Slammu start to dig palaces a little more. But that's all going to depend upon if Slammu wants to go in. methinkso is now back in Death Mountain. If methinkso is able to make it to the Hammer Cave here, they will be rewarded with the boots, which will let them start doing whatever it is they want to do. Fairy is not castable. And this is unfortunately the wrong part of Death Mountain for methinkso to get to the Hammer Cave. Our third palace on the west is going to be P4. So we have palaces 1, 2, and 4 here on the west. The other end of Jump Cave, which you can't get to, but here we have a town. This is going to be Life Town. Slammu is going to elect to go ahead and pick up Life here. Now, methinkso may find a way to the east on this Death Mountain, so even though the boots are... Well, actually, the boots might not necessarily be required to get started on the west, because we did see the other end of Jump Cave, so if methinkso can find a path to the east, can take the path to the east, and can also get the jump spell, methinkso may just be able to get through Jump Cave to get to the other side of the west without having to get the boots. However, the boots are going to make it significantly faster. Neither runner has enough magic to cast Fairy just yet. Fairy, I want to say, was 96. Slammu has found Fairy Cave. And it looks like we're going to see Mito here, which contains Spell. And there is our bridge to the east. Also, thank you to whoever has been doing the setup stuff and helping out with the crops and whatnot. We very much appreciate it. So it looks like Slammu is now in Hammer Cave. Now, methinkso is not going to be able to get to anywhere from this DM at this point. We know that methinkso's got to head to the Hammer Cave. In order to get those boots. Slammu is going to take Magic 2 here, which I think is a really good decision here now that you've got Fairy, and you can now cast Fairy. Very important. As Heart Container Cave is going to contain a Heart Container. And methinkso is going to head to the Hammer Cave here. So this is going to get methinkso their boots. Now, I didn't see if Slammu picked up Downstab yet, because I think Slammu has... No, Slammu might not have actually seen where Mito is yet. Because I don't know if we've actually seen where Mito is. Here's the Medicine Cave. Medicine Cave is generally considered to be the toughest cave on the west, and not just because it's the longest, but because you've got the respawning enemies on this bridge, followed by the triple enemy here, which... Lots of orange Daras. Although methinkso's in a little bit of a pickle now. But gonna just skip the enemies. And Slammu is gonna pick up the medicine. In Medicine Cave. This is good for when the runners find Mito. And as long as methinkso gets to the other end of Hammer Cave, that will leave both runners with boots, which means both runners will be able to do whatever they need to do on the west, which is really good. Honestly, boots are one of those items that you don't think about how important it is early until you don't have them. Here's Magic Cave. This should actually be the last of our west caves. Yeah, this is going to be our last western Hyrule cave. And it looks like we get a raft. And Slammu is going to go ahead and pick up Magic 3. Looks like we started with the fire spell. And it looks like we are now going to see Slammu start heading back towards Mito, probably to get both downstab and the spell, which is the spell, I believe. As methinkso is going to go ahead and pick up Fairy. So you need either Fairy or Jump to be able to get this downstab. Which is why getting to where you can cast Fairy is so important. Except it is upstab because those are flipped in this flag step. I forgot about that part. So upstab is in Darunia, downstab is here in Mito. Sorry, strike that. Reverse that. Upstab is here in Mito, downstab is in Darunia. But with that bridge over to the east found, I think we're going to see Slammu immediately make his way over there. Methinkso will be there a little bit behind. And a lot of the delta right now for Methinkso has come from just some unfortunate encounters early, as well as taking a bit longer in DM than Slammu did. Nothing insurmountable, but just something to be aware of. So now we're on the east for Slammu. Looks like we have GP immediately, which is a good up A point. And it looks like we've got a Caldera set up. So Jump is here in Darunia. That's probably going to get skipped, but I think we are going to see... Also at Magic 3, Fairy is 32, which is fantastic. We are going to see the downstab pick up here. And methinkso we'll find this relatively quickly as well. Just a matter of... if methinkso elects to collect other items on the west first to get that spell, because that could be required. Really, as far as required items go, the main two ones we're concerned about right now are going to be Hammer and Flute. Because both of those can block things. If Slammu is at least going to get the hint for where the child is, this can actually be helpful in terms of it'll help you eliminate... It can potentially help you eliminate a pals to dig. Although we find that it's on the east, which is not ideal. Ideally, you want your non-required spell item to be in P5. Just so that you don't have to do P5. Alright, so yeah, looks like we got a Caldera. There's our Valley of Death. And we can see that Slammu is doing what he can to see as much landmass as possible without taking encounters. This should be a pass-through cave, and it is. We can step around the River Devil. Also trying to avoid the swamp. Methinkso is going to go ahead and take Magic 2. Slammu is going to walk into this cave here. It is a pass-through, but sees both a palace and a town, as well as the water tile. Going to elect to ignore the link doll. The second palace on the east is going to be one of 3 thick. We won't know which one it is until we go inside and either see the windows or see the boss. Water tile here is going to contain a bag. Nothing really doing there. At this point, Flute and Hammer are looking less likely to be required, unless we have the Maze Island entrance blocked by Flute Hammer. Reflect is an old Kasuto. So now the only required spell that is missing is going to be Thunder. But because that won't require a spell item, that's just going to require Slammu to find the town that it's in, which is what keeps Hammer and the other in play. There is a fairy on that far northern tip. Gonna like to use that to reset the encounter. Check this cave first. It should be a pass-through, but also stops the enemies from spawning. Desert tile is going to be the kid. So jump can now be gotten as we find Sunken Cave here. The glove has been found. It was actually the first item found in Trophy Cave right at the start of the seed. And both runners do have that. I'm pretty sure. Gonna get a 500 bag here. This will be enough to send Slammu just about up to the level. The Liz Alphas will get him the rest of the way, as Downstab has been acquired by methinkso, doing some exploration on the east. If Slammu did not get the glove out of Trophy Cave, that's a little concerning. We'll have to see when he pauses for sure if he has it. But I'm pretty sure he got that. Now this cave over here, one of these could be Sunken Cave or Rising Cave. Instead, we get a town though. It is going to be Thirsty Lady Town with Thunder. Okay, so that means our last town, New Casino, is going to have the shield spell. Whether that gets picked up or not is currently unknown. It's going to entirely depend upon when folks find it. Because Shield Spell is very much a nice quality of life spell, but it's going to depend on how much you look for New Casino. Now, granted, New Casino does have 2 items. And the Maze Island entrance has not been found yet, so it may be worthwhile to look for New Casino for those 2 items. Plus, more jars is always helpful. Now, we saw an entrance to a cave earlier that I don't think was a path-through. So I'll be curious to see if Slammu goes back for that. Slammu gonna go get the jump spell. As methinkso, we'll now find the Magic Container Cave, and soon after we'll find Medicine Cave. That's gonna get methinkso... Oh no, methinkso's already done Medicine Cave. So methinkso's actually about to be done with just the West in general. Now we know that there is a raft tile that's going to lead to Maze Island, actually. So that cave entrance kind of doesn't matter. Which means the hammer and flute are probably just completely bogus. I mean, yeah, you might be able to find New Casino, which might get you some more stuff, but... methinkso saying, I'm just going to ignore all that and go to Palace 1. With a fairy spell in hand, this does make sense to do. And Slammu looks to be looking along the east a little bit more. Hello. A couple of random caves up here. And there is the raft tile. So that's going to take you to Maze Island, and there is New Casino. Which is going to contain shield. We might get both items out of here. It all depends on what that old lady lets us do, but honestly, Slammu might not even worry about that. And we are going to see the item room here in P1. At least, no, this isn't the item room. This is just the elevator room. But man, this blue iron knuckle not letting me think so through easily. And the magical key in its vanilla location, that is huge for Slammu. Without having to worry about fairy for palaces, I think we're going to start seeing Slammu start just running into palaces. Might elect to see if he can pick up the magic jar item. But oh, and methinkso's out of magic. Slammu's not going to elect to try that item out, but is going to go ahead and take the raft over to Maze Island. Just needs to get through this. May go ahead and elect to look for the 2 items here because they are kind of free. And that the way you get the items here is you just walk a bunch. Gonna elect to try to do fairy feet, does so successfully. 7 containers for the basement is kind of insane. And we get our first gem placed by methinkso. First item found in Maze, and it's a good one. It's a jar. Methinkso's going to go back in looking for the item. Slammu with the extra jar now is going to do more fairy feeding. And we'll like to go ahead and look for the item a little bit. Because honestly, another jar here would be very good for Slammu. Gonna see that it is P5 here on the maze. I'll leave it up to the viewer's discretion if they think that's a good or a bad level. I honestly am not sure if we're going to see Slammu dig it on attack 3, but might. 7th jar in Maze Island, as it's just a bag in P1. So P1 is complete. For methinkso, gonna head over to P2 now. Does not have the Reflect spell, so can't use Reflect to do P4 yet, as Slammu is gonna go into P5. And immediately need to cast Fairy. As we get our item room here for Slammu. This is one of the few item rooms that is not key blocked, but is going to require actually, you probably just have A to get out of this instead of spend the magic on Fairy. It's the hammer. Gonna go ahead and spend the Fairy magic. Okay. Well, Slammu does not have to worry about key doors. That's very important. Because picking up that enemy key in Nukasido, thanks to the spell. But now Slammu is just looking for Guma, which is going to be right here. An incredibly quick P5 for Slammu. Oh, this is big. Now, 1 was also very quick, and Slammu's already done 1, so might actually just elect to go straight to the gem when he gets back. Because Horsehead is already down. And I think on 7 jars, you probably don't care as much about items at this point. Like, yeah, you might want another heart just to be a little safer. You might want the 8th jar, but as long as you can cast under Reflect, you're fine. Methinkso is now leaving P2. Looks like they did not place the gem. I also don't think they placed the item. Methinkso headed back to the east. This is going to be good, as this is going to get them their any key. Assuming they picked up the spell. I believe brackets are best of 3. So, one loss does not a tournament end make. It's either best of 3 or double elimination. I forget which. Because I might be confusing it with the upstarts, which is definitely best of 3. Okay. Thank you, DH, for correcting me on... who is also doing the tracking for us, and we appreciate him very much for it. Correcting me on the format of this tournament. I was getting it confused with the upstarts tournament. So methinkso has gone to the east, gotten the spell, believe they got thunder. Does not have reflect still, but that's because, you know, Old Casito's kind of in the north of the east. As Slammu is continuing to take down Guma. Attack 3 Guma is tough, but very doable. And having the shield spell is paying dividends here, as is having that life spell out of Raru. And honestly, the 7 Jars is doing a lot of work too, because 7 Jars lets you cast a lot more magic than you otherwise would. Guma goes down. How much XP does it give? 500. Slammu's thinking about this. Slammu's going to go back and get a little bit more XP. Slammu's electing to go ahead and try to get this level up here. Oh, the Moa says no. Which, to be fair, you are pretty close. And now methinkso's getting the spell. This broom should get Slammu enough XP. Yeah, 150 from that guy, another 100 there. That'll be a double level coming out of P5. I think we're going to see Slammu go ahead and take the magic level here. And the reason I think we're going to see Slammu take the magic level is Slammu's deep in Maze Island at this point, and up bang out of this to go back to the west is probably your best bet. You could make an argument to walk out of Maze Island and go to Valley of Death. But we see Slammu take Magic 5, and there's the up A. And Slammu gonna walk around the maze to get back. Look at that. You can walk around the maze of Maze Island as methinkso enters Maze Island while Slammu leaves it. Slammu's going to head back to the town to reset some of these spawns. Unfortunately, gets a swamp encounter on the way. Going to go ahead and pick up the 7-jar item from New Casito as well. And it will be a bag. So for 7 jars, you get 50 bucks. I don't like that deal. Gonna skip the fairy encounter. I think we're gonna see Slammu head over to the other palace of 3-6 before VOD, and that's what Slammu's doing. Methinkso is going ahead and going through Maze Island. We'll probably find both items. There's 1 jar. Methinkso certainly will not be upset about having more jars. That was a Doom Knocker mace from off screen, ready to kill Slammu. And this will be P6, which means Palace 3 is going to be in Valley of Death today. Ow. Jumping on maces. You can't block maces with your feet. You might be able to do fairy feet, but you can't block maces with them. So you get our first elevator here in P6. Slammu's going to elect to go to the right here instead of taking the locked door. I gotta like this, actually. Because you can leave that locked door as a marker that you haven't been that way yet. Slammu's going to get a 200 bag right there. Not bad, not bad. Looks like we will see not the boss that way. So Slammu's going to continue to go to the right. As methinkso will get the 2nd jar out of Maze Island. Before heading over to P5. So the big thing methinkso is missing right now is the Reflect spell out of Nabaru, which is in the far north of this eastern continent. As we have a quick P6 for Slammu. Gonna go ahead and just do the Barba fight. Not electing to cast a jump just yet. We can see Slammu going for a ton of hits on Barba. Would probably have liked to have had attack 4, but what can you do? And methinkso is going to leave Maze Island without doing P5. Probably going to look for that last town first. Sees that it is 7... Well, actually, methinkso doesn't see that it's 7 jars because methinkso's got 7 jars. Here's $50. Slammu going for the long jump over the Barba fireballs. Methinkso will get the shield spell here. Very convenient. But we'll also get the any key out of this, which will let methinkso do the palace much more easily. And that may have been why methinkso elected not to do the palace just yet. Is wanting to see if there are other items to be gotten, such as the any key, find all the towns, etc. But methinkso should get the any key out of here, because they do have the spell. Barba goes down for Slammu. And this is likely going to be enough XP to get a level. Yep. That'll be attack 4 for Slammu, plus the gem level of life 6. Gonna like to use Fairy to make sure you don't fall in the lava. Especially because you get a free refill. P6 done for Slammu. And I think we're going to see Slammu start heading to Valley of Death here. I don't think you would go back west at this point, just because going back west doesn't really get you anything. When you have to do Valley of Death anyway. Ooh, attack 5 is going to be the next level Slammu gets. As methinkso finds the child on the desert tile, we'll see if methinkso elects to go get the jump spell. And Fairy is cheap enough. I think we're going to see Slammu just Fairy through all this. Old Casito for methinkso. Slammu doing a Fairy feat and gets it. We'll see another one here. Gets it. See another one here. No cave. Caveless VOD. And here we go. Into P3. Good upstab from methinkso to make sure that MOA doesn't hit him. And both of our runners have all of their spells, have all the necessary items. All that remains to do is, as Slammu finds the item in 3 very quickly, just place your gems. And that's the 8th jar for Slammu. Slammu with all 8 jars, going to be just fine going into the GP. Looks like Thunder is 74 magic at magic 4, which is perfectly fine. Slammu should be fine to cast Reflect and Thunder at the same time on magic 6. Because Slammu's got 4 gems left, so that's a minimum of 4 levels, one of which will be another magic level. Guaranteed. So Slammu will likely be going in the GP on at least 5, 6, 7. Potentially 6, 6, 7. Methinkso is going to be in a similar boat. Slammu gets Rebo in the correct spot. Rebo does not cooperate, so Slammu's just going to do it the old-fashioned way. Gets Rebo down. Methinkso continues to go through this. I believe this is P6. Yeah, this is P6. Slammu will place the gem in P3. Definitely going to wait for the XP on this one. And is going to walk out of the palace immediately up A. And now going to do these palaces on the west. I expect we're going to see the P1 gem right at the end. Because P1 is literally just a gem, as methinkso finds a dead end here in P6. And there seems to be some disagreements as to whether it's a good or a bad thing that the palaces are free so far. I say it is concerning, because anytime your palaces are free, that means GP is probably not. Now, methinkso never placed this gem, but probably just got tired of constantly having to use fairy to get through every locked door. This is a jump fairy block. Slammu's going to elect to use the jump spell to get through. And P6 Barba here for methinkso. Like we get the unicorn heads here for Slammu in this P2 room. As now we're going to see methinkso do Barba on attack 3, which might have also been the deciding factor in not going to the palace on Maze Island, is attack 3 Guma is, well, attack 3 Guma. This is the dead end room. Slammu will up A out of it. Methinkso is also able to get like 5 or 6 hits per cycle on Barba. Slammu back in P2's interior. Methinkso making really good work of this Barba fight. Honestly, both runners having really good Barba fights this seed. Slammu going to elect to use that Thunder Spell. Getting this jar for his efforts. And Barba goes down for methinkso. Going to get the life. Oh, going to skip the life level immediately to make sure that attack level comes in. Which, methinkso's level situation is a little bit more precarious. But again, as long as you can get to Magic 6 before going into GP, you should be able to cast the Reflect and Thunder at the same time. Immediate key block in this room. There's a heart in P2. Looks like we're now going to see methinkso head over towards the Valley of Death. This is a reasonably long P2 so far. No jar in that statue for Slammu. And no boss yet. Methinkso headed back to Durini to pick up the jump spell. Key! And this... That's a 500 bag for Slammu. This looks like it just looped back, because we saw the other side of this room already. Yeah, we've looped. Okay. So P2's got a little bit of a loop in it. No big deal. Slammu will likely not to pick up that red jar. Methinkso good in the jump spell. Now, we do have Harder Karak on when we get to P4. So you're going to see... So if you've not seen Harder Karak before, normally Karak only fires his beams along the bottom row in the vanilla game. Harder Karak adds not only standing level beams, but also adds sine wave beams at 2 different speeds. Nice Iron Knuckle kill there from Slammu. As a reward of the boss, methinkso is now making his way through Valley of Death. So he was probably not going to get quite enough XP to double level off of this. Needs to be a really high roll on Helmet Head. Not going to get it. I think Helmet Head's max roll is 500, so you still would have been short even with a max roll. Methinkso is now in Palace 3 as Slammu is finishing up Palace 2. Gonna go ahead and go up to attack 6. As Methinkso will get the 8th jar. And Slammu is now gonna head to P4. Looks like Slammu will go ahead and stop into P1 and drop off this gem first. I'm a max roll. How much XP? Well, okay. So, assuming that I am represented by Thunderbird, because Birdman, that would mean that I give 1,000 XP when killed. And just like that, Slammu is at 5 gems placed to Methinkso's soon-to-be 3. Methinkso's trying to get Rebo to cooperate, but Rebo ain't playing nice. Gonna go ahead and do a life cast to get some health back. Slammu is gonna take Magic 6. Which, again, should be enough to cast Thunder Reflect. We'll see when he pauses. As the gem in Palace 3 has been placed for Methinkso. Methinkso's on 4-5-5 with 3 gems left to place. Could get a little dicey for Methinkso if they can't get to Magic 6, because Thunder Reflect cannot be cast in combination on Magic 5. And Thunder Reflect is a very strong combination for the Thunderbird fight, which is why it's so important to be able to do that. Here is our item room in P4. It is going to be the Plunger. Don't need that at this point. Honestly, the only thing Slammu would have wanted there was another heart. There's a fairy. And Methinkso trying to get to this jar, trying to get to this bag, but just not happening. I think we are going to see Methinkso elect to go for a double level here in this P2. But Methinkso does have P5 left, and P5 tends to be longer, except in this case it's very short, so you're not going to get a double level out of that. Slammu's going to go in on 6-6-7, based on the lack of willingness to pick up XP at this point. And here is not Karok, this is actually fake Rebo. This is not Karok, this is second fake Rebo. This is not Karok, this is an exterior room. Oh, we're back at the start of the palace! We're literally back at start. We have looped through the entirety of P4, folks. Slammu's got another, what is it, 400? What is it, 500 laps is... No, I don't think the Indianapolis 500 is 500 laps. I think it's 250 laps. Yeah, just do the P4 500. Problem solved. If you loop around P4 500 times, you get a bonus where you actually get to get attack 9. But you can go to the left in this room, and that's going to be your answer. Looks like Methinkso is headed back, has found the dead end in P2. I don't think we've seen the Dripper Enemy, and I don't know if those are shuffled. That red jar is like one of those, it's nice, but it's not great type of deals. You see Slammu go to the left here. Might want to consider casting Life. Yep, does so. I didn't see how much Reflect was. We'll see in a minute. This is not Karok, but that is a small jar. I think if that's a red jar, you go for it. Gonna pass by the Doom Knocker. methinkso has now entered the loop of P2. You gotta break out of this loop in order to get to your boss, but we'll get the heart. And it looks like Slammu has looped? No. No, two different rooms that look incredibly similar. Oh man, that's a little trolly. And it leads to Karok. Okay, yeah, Thunder Reflect is easily castable. With Reflect only at 17, you can probably cast a shield with that. And there we go. As you can see, Harder Karok is firing at multiple different frequencies and wavelengths. So standing in the middle is a faster way to kill Karok, but it's more dangerous. You can also stand against the right side of the room to get a Karok kill, but you don't strictly have to do that. You can kill Karok from the center of the room. And it is a little faster because the beams don't have to travel as far, so you're more likely to get hits. And that's going to be Slammu's last gem placed as methinkso is placing their fourth. However, the two palaces methinkso has left are 4 and 5, both of which are pretty long. The main benefit is methinkso may be able to get a second level out of one of those two palaces. Because attack 6 is cheaper. But Slammu not headed the GP just yet. Slammu instead going a long way around this coast. Not quite sure what Slammu is looking for here. Slammu now in GP. Going to pick up Life 7. And on 667, Slammu will be entering. We'll call it 52-55 GP entry for Slammu. Fairy in the Mega Man blocks room. Going to ignore it. You think that we'll find the item here in P4. The Bird Knight will fall into the lava. Thankfully, Bird Knights can't swim. methinkso we'll go ahead and pick up the Plunger. As we get this room. Full of... Oh, you're going to have to cast the Fairy Spell to get back out of that. Thankfully, Fairy Spell is cheap. So we are looking for Thunderbird. We know Dark Link is going to be past Thunderbird, so it's kind of a catch-22 of, do you want a long GP to Thunderbird, or do you want a long GP, or do you want a short GP to Thunderbird and a long GP to Dark Link? This is a dead end. Slammu is just going to go ahead and up A. Looks like we're going to have to go left out of the first elevator. Immediate Bird Knight. And looks like we're going to see Fairy use to get across this instead of dealing with the Bird Knight. You're now in the Jackimus room as methinkso enters Fake Rebo. Gonna go ahead and pick up the bag. And we get golden unicorn heads in this room. Thankfully, Slammu is going to be able to take out a couple of them before moving on. So we get Fake Rebo 2 for methinkso. And that golden unicorn head is going to be followed by Slammu out of the room. So we enter one of our crumbling blocks rooms. Thankfully, this one does not appear to have the infinite spawner. Good red jar, too. Then we'll be able to cast life based on that. Putting him back up to full resources to go continue on in this GP. Crumbling bridge. Should be followed by a small little jump. Yeah, that's not great. That is not a good room. Slammu's gonna head down the elevator and head to the right. The way GP works is you always want to go right. methinkso is going to take the left here. This will lead to the boss of P4. Get a quick little jump over. See one of the large skull bubbles. And we see Skull Ball over a Mega Man block set. So this is a little... Oh, wait. Nope, never mind. I'm mistaken. Okay, we want to let that little Skull Ball go because that thing can absolutely wreck you while you're trying to jump over these pits. Hi, Big Bot. How you doing? All right, we get our... I don't know what to call this room. I just call it like kind of the T-block room. You see a gold bird knight. They are usually the easiest to kill. However, we are not going to see a kill of that one. And here we go into one of the elevator rooms. This elevator will take us to another decisional point. We're going to take another right. methinkso has grabbed the small red jar. And folks, my Discord is frozen, so please excuse me for a moment. Okay, I don't know if I'm still here or not. So please give me 1 second. Okay, sorry about that. Looks like methinkso's headed back to Main Island to go to P5. Slammu has found a fairy room and another elevator. Discord decided to freeze on me, so I apologize for the small technical hookup there. We get an inverse waffle room. Now, I don't know about you, but I feel like lava is not a good syrup to put on your waffles. And here we go. methinkso going into P5. Now, this is important. methinkso's either got to get a double level or has to skip attack 6 if you want to be able to cast Reflect. We get the Bird Knight statue room. Hammer found from methinkso out of P5. And Slammu has looped back. So we're going to have to see Slammu go a different way here. I'm going to like to pick up this fairy real quick. Again, Slammu on near full resources as methinkso is going to get the free P5. So remember, Slammu entered GP at 52, 55-ish. We'll see when methinkso goes in. We'll have a faster P5 on account of having... Oh, but takes a death to Kuma. But we'll have a faster P5 on account of having attack 5 versus attack 3. But herein is going to lie the problem for methinkso. methinkso's got to skip attack 6 here. If methinkso takes attack 6, it's going to make GP very interesting for them. Now, I don't know how well they're able to handle Thunderbird without Reflect. They might be really good at it, in which case it doesn't matter. Looks like we've looped back to the bubble room. We have a lot of loops so far in this GP. Which means Thunderbird's probably going to be immediately before Dark Link. If I'm being honest here. And that's all 6 gems. methinkso's gonna take attack 6. The methinkso will not have combined Thunder Reflect available for Thunderbird. Now, full disclosure, this could change based off of if methinkso is able to pick up. Oh, Slammu has just enough for the life spell. I don't know if methinkso will do the pendulum or the wibble wobble for T-Bird. The wibble wobble for T-Bird without reflect is a lot harder to do. So we're probably going to see pendulum. So methinkso gets in at about 1:02:20. So about 9.5 minutes is the delta between Slammu and methinkso getting into this GP. But if methinkso gets the right path, might actually be able to get there faster. Slammu with the 2 extra levels from having done Palaces 5 and 6 earlier. See what those do for him. Find ourselves in another inverted waffle room. I don't think we've seen this one before. Or if we have, nope, we definitely have not seen this one before. And yeah, I think you want to avoid breaking out that big bubble if you can help it. methinkso has updated back to the beginning of GP. He finds double the spicy chicken, double the fun. Who doesn't like a spicy chicken sandwich? We're going to see Slammu just ferry over this room. Which, given how much magic you've got, kind of makes sense. Big Bot says no. You don't get to go through with health. And we get an elevator. Really good. Nice dodging around the Bird Knight and the fumes. Not Thunderbird immediately, though. We got another curtains room. Although, I wonder if the proper term for these should be the theater rooms. methinkso is going to use jump to get through, and we find another hanging platforms room. That big bot isn't going to be a deal here. Every time I see the big bots, I keep wanting to call them Big Berthas. We're going to be able to ignore waking that Bird Knight up. Good 3-tile jump from Slammu. The Bird Knight will stay in jail. That's a spicy chicken. Looks like we're going to see Slammu elect to jump over the spicy chicken. And there is Thunderbird for Slammu. Deep in GP, so we're probably going to see a very quick Thunderbird almost immediately following this. Then we just take a death on T-Bird, but not too surprising given you going with basically no health. You got enough for Reflect, Shield, and Thunder, the trifecta of T-Bird fighting. Now you just do some penduluming, and it looks like T-Bird is always going to be just rapid fire. Which is fine. The rapid fire phase of T-Bird isn't that bad, honestly. You just have to be a little careful with it. But now you would be in rapid fire phase anyway. So the rapid fire phase of T-Bird being constantly active now is irrelevant. Looks like we got to reset the pendulum a little bit. Came off rhythm, but there we go. Thunderbird down. 1000 XP. And yep, there's the immediate Dark Link. So Slammu is going to take this race here this morning. Just has to kill Dark Link, has an extra life if things go really haywire, but the corner strats do still work. Everyone, please get your GGs ready in chat for Big Slammu. Now, his race time is 1:10:09. But he did have a little bit of dad percent right at the end of... I'm sorry, 1:07:09 was the official time. But there was a little bit of dad percent right at the end of this race for him. And we are now joined by Big Slammu. GG's and congratulations on the win.
Oh, hey, thank you. I felt like a good one start to finish until GP, and then I decided to tour every single room in GP before going the easy way.
So, all of the palaces 1 through 6 were basically free, with the exception of, I think, like 4 and maybe 2.
Yeah, I felt super smart because I stole a key out of 1 really early. And I'm like, oh, I can use this for an item room that I find before I get fairy or whatnot. And then, yeah, literally didn't need it and ended up having to go back into 1 to actually go place the gem. But I didn't want that gem or that early anyways because, I mean, that gem basically became a 3000 GP gem, or XP gem too. So it ended up working out pretty well. I'll take the free. I mean, honestly, with the way that these flags work, I will take as much free as possible.
And it was very fortunate you were able to get up to Magic 6, because I'm pretty sure at Magic 5, Thunder plus Reflect is somewhere around 130 MP.
Yeah, I don't see myself in these flags ever getting to a spot where I go less than 666 or 665 maybe. It's just the combat's too much. There's just not enough. Yeah, I'm not the monster combat guy in this game. I like the routing aspect and the figuring that out. And these flags definitely lean about as far away from me as possible. But I'm gonna play how I need to play to maximize within these flags. So.
Also, shout outs to the raft.
Oh, I know. It's funny. So, like, the continent connectors, the way they work in this one is they're vanilla-ish, right? In terms of DM always goes west, west always goes east, east always goes maze. So as soon as I had the 2 roadblock connectors to DM, I'm like, oh, sweet, raft is required. So the only thing I'm looking out for then is am I going to need the flute as well? And as soon as I found the second palace, I knew I didn't need the flute, and we were in go mode, like 30 minutes into the game.
Especially when the game's like, oh, hey, you just spawned in, here's a glove.
Yeah, I mean, free glove is nice, and then relatively quickly I realized, okay, it's going to be in Death Mountain, the answer, and Death Mountain was nice enough to give all 3 important caves right there on the hard left side of the map, so.
And methinkso has gone ahead and forfeited after taking a game over in GP. So one thing that kind of started to build a little bit of a gap between the two of you was that methinkso had taken a couple of unfortunate encounters on the west side of the overworld early that ended up setting them behind a little bit, combined with they had a longer death mountain, as we are now joined by methinkso.
Hello.
Hello.
GG's.
Methinkso, the big difference, I think, was just a little bit of a rougher start where you took some tough encounters on the west combined with a little bit of a longer DM. That ended up being kind of the starting point of where that gap opened up between you and Slammu.
Was there a quicker way down to the Hammer Cave and DM? Because I kind of took the roundabout path, I think.
Yeah, you could go straight down. I took one cave in DM.
Oh yeah, I went up and right and down. Like, must have seen all of it.
I saw the two caves immediately pointing left when we walked in, and I'm like, okay, one of those two has to be meaningful. So I took it down and checked the first one. It was Hammer Cave. Checked the second one. It was the dead end jump back. So I'm like, oh, we'll grab this. And at that point, I was like 99% sure it was boots. Like, it's either boots or key, or I'm an idiot. All three are equally likely.
Yeah, I ended up doing as much of the west as I could before, like, doubling back to DM and realizing, like, either it's got to be a connector that leads to the rest of the west, or, yeah, boots, which, yeah, I ended up being boots.
Yeah, I was thinking a connector, but then when I popped out on that little dead end, I'm like, okay, so it's boots. But,
Yeah.
or you know, the key into a Force 2 dive, which, I don't know, I think I got the item in 2, but I don't remember. I think, no, the only items I didn't get are 1 and 5, so.
Yeah, which the item in 1, I want to say, was just a bag.
Yeah, it was just a P bag.
Yeah, I say the only thing I didn't have was the last heart, which might have been hammer, the boulder, but it was boulder 1 and 5 are the only 3 items I didn't get.
Did you ever see Rising Cave?
No, but it's guaranteed to be garbage in these flags. All
Yep.
the P-bag caves are P-bags. Yep, they took those 3 out of the seeds. So,
huh?
They also took
Like
2
it
heart
for-
containers out of the game too.
This is what I get for not reading the entire flag list before signing up for comms.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, honestly, that GP could have also been free too. Like that block room was what 7-8 rooms in, so you could have done a 10-room GP. Have you done it right? I, of course, did not. So,
well, I mean, the seed had to give you something crazy after it just gave you 4 palaces for free. So Slammu, you will move on in the upper bracket, and I believe methinkso you will head to the bonus bracket.
Cool.
yeah,
You know,
I love the format. Right, straight double elimination is awesome. So, you think so? I think you're going to get Shaddy or somebody like that, and you can win your way back. So. I'm not looking forward to playing against Big Pickett. He's very good at this game. So, but after I beat him, I get to beat Gob1, so that'll be good.
I like the confidence.
But no, thank you, methinkso, for moving this around. Most people don't know, but I was on an airplane for 16 hours yesterday trying to get home. So I got home like an hour before our match was supposed to start last night or this morning, whatever it was, and hadn't slept yet. So appreciate your flexibility moving it to today.
Oh yeah, it was no problem at all.
16 hours is far too long to be on a plane.
I agree, especially when it was a 5-hour flight.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, I touched 2 more airports than I was supposed to yesterday.
Did a toilet freeze on one of the planes or something?
No, just standard summer weather in the southern United States. It's life.
Yeah, that would do it. All
But no,
right.
thank you guys. Thanks for getting this on, guys. Appreciate it. Obviously, I mean, SGL is a big one, and it's fun. And I'm looking forward to hopefully putting up a good showing for the rest of this thing.
And thank you both for putting on a wonderful race for us. As yeah, this was a really good one to watch.
Yeah, thanks for doing the restream. Appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. And also a thank you to the Alan Heffley for both corralling people to jump in to help out with this, but also doing the tracking for us. Today, for this race, and if I pull up the little handy-dandy schedule, I believe there is another match today. I'm trying to see if I can find schedule on that.
Tonight at, I want to say 7 p.m. Eastern, you've got 7:15 p.m. Eastern time, you've got the Goblin versus Trails in a round 2 winners bracket matchup.
That's what I was thinking of. I just couldn't remember what the time of it was, because I knew that was starting today.
Yeah, I have to remember every single one of these starts on the 15, right?
Yep.
The runners started on the hour, and then the timer kicks in. So
Yeah. But I think that is going to do it for us here. Once again, thank you to both Slammu and methinkso for putting on a wonderful morning race for us. Something nice to have with your eggs and coffee. A thank you to the Alan Heffley for both gathering volunteers and also doing the tracking. And a thank you to Speedgaming for hosting us here on SG1. And I'm also hearing we have a 10-15 matchup tonight too, but I'm not entirely sure who was in that one. Let's see if I can find that real quick.
That one's Oboe and Tabby Orange.
Excellent. Thank you for providing the details. All right. And I think with that, let's see if you guys have any additional last thoughts. We can probably go ahead and clear on out.
no, perfect time. Thanks, guys. I got to run up and take these cinnamon rolls out of the oven.
Yeah, I'm all set. Thanks again.
All right. That's it. Thank you, everyone, for joining us, and have a wonderful rest of your Sunday. And there might be some sports games going on, so go insert local sports team here.